Hello there. Welcome to Whispers.exe, where the silence watches back. The following story is a work of fiction created for atmospheric and entertainment purposes. Before the shadows whisper your name, hit that subscribe button. With that being said, get comfortable, close your eyes, and let the dark settle in. It begins like most things do, quiet, unnoticed, and far too late to stop. Dead air on Channel 19. They call it the Stretch, just east of Butte, Montana. Past the last rusted billboard that still reads, "Always stop for pie," though the diner it advertised sank into the weeds decades ago. It's a clean ribbon of road by day if you believe in lies. At night, it thins out. The lanes feel longer, empty, the sky wider than it should be. And the sound in your cab, that's where it starts, right there, with the quiet. Most truckers, the smart ones, they switch the channel, not to avoid traffic, not for weather. No, they do it for the dead air, because when Channel 19 cuts out there, it doesn't stay cut. CB radios don't go fully quiet. There's always a hiss, a soft growl of static, the breath of the road itself. But sometimes, out in that stretch, the hiss becomes something else. It was Wendell who first told me, back in '03, tapping a lucky strike into an empty coffee cup, eyes fixed on nothing. "Don't answer it," he said. Simple as that. I didn't know what he meant, thought he was talking about some girl or maybe God, but he just said it again, "Don't answer it." I only understood a year later, the first time I heard the whisper. I'd pulled long out of Spokane, took 90 like always, heading east. Midnight and some change, everything outside the windshield turned to ink. Nothing strange until I reached the mile marker that no longer stands. And Channel 19 died. Not a gradual fade, no static build, it just stopped. And then Route 73, 87, dispatch, come back. It was a whisper, close but impossible. Like someone crawling up behind your ear from inside your own head. The numbers meant nothing at first. Old routes, they said later, ones that were absorbed or reclassified or erased entirely. No one uses those numbers anymore, no one living. I turned the dial, switched channels, silence. Turned again, static, turned again. Back to 19. Breaker, breaker, anyone read me? I didn't respond, didn't even breathe. That night, I drove until dawn, and the sun brought the world back with it. The hiss returned, bird song outside the glass, a new truck stop, fresh coffee. I forgot. Almost. But it didn't stop there. Others started hearing it, different voices, same cadence, always low, always between midnight and 3, always on Channel 19. And always the same pattern, a list of route numbers, then silence, then dispatch, come back. Some laughed it off, some turned it into a game. One kid out of Billings even answered once. Voice all puffed up said, 10-4, you're loud and clear, mystery man. The ping came 6 seconds later, right on his GPS, like a ghost hand dropped a pin from inside the cab, out in the middle of a long dead way station that burned down in '87. The signal blinked once, then vanished. They never found the truck, not the driver, not the freight, not a bolt, just a melted CB receiver, warped like it had been in a kiln. That's when people stopped laughing. They say it's a loop, a transmission caught in some weird feedback, an echo from the past. But I've heard it say new things. I've heard it say names, and not old ones. People I know, one night last winter, headed north hauling dry freight, I heard, "Marla, come back." Marla was my dispatcher. 6 years working nights. No one outside the company would know her name. I pulled over so fast I took 2 reflectors with me, threw the rig in neutral, hand on the CB. But I didn't answer. I turned it off, and still I heard it. "Marla, Route 40, rejoin." Rejoin what? What's left? It used to be just voices. Now sometimes I see them, shapes along the roadside, standing too still, wearing old uniforms like truckers from before deregulation, caps low, hands at their sides, no faces. Only once did one step forward. I was parked at a rest stop, no lights, no others, engine off, just breathing in the cold, and then a knock on the passenger side. I looked, no one. Then the driver's side. Another knock, slower this time, measured, like it was thinking. I reached across the dash, fumbled the key, turned the CB on by accident, and it spoke before I did. Let me in. Not a whisper, not a plea. Just calm, like it already had permission. I didn't open the door, didn't sleep, just drove until the sky lightened and my bladder was a screaming thing. I tried to tell Marla the next morning, but she didn't answer her phone. No one had seen her, not her neighbors, not her boss. Her apartment was locked from the inside. Her car in the lot, keys in the ignition. Radio tuned to channel 19. They're keeping it quiet. Nobody wants to believe the road has ghosts. But I've driven it too long to pretend otherwise. They're not after blood. Not exactly. They're not violent in the way people are. They just want you to answer. Just one time. Say your name. Acknowledge them. Let the conversation begin. And then your rig, it won't show up anymore. Not on satellite, not on GPS, not even to the cameras at the way stations. But sometimes, just sometimes, they'll catch the edge of a trailer in the frame, just barely, gliding past at 3:13 a.m., always at 3:13. You can follow the plate, track the VIN, cross-check the logbooks, but it leads nowhere because that driver, they answered. And now they're still driving, but they don't haul freight, they don't stop for pie, they don't turn the wheel. They just move forward on roads that don't exist anymore, looking for dispatch, still calling for someone to come back, and they will keep calling until someone else answers. So if you're ever out there late alone beyond Butte and the CB goes quiet, don't adjust the dial, don't respond, and above all, don't say your name, because if you do, they learn it. And once they learn it, they don't forget. Not like we do. We forget things all the time, where we set our keys, what day it is, the face of someone we swore we'd never lose, but they don't. They hold names like anchors, like chains. Sometimes I wonder if that's what they are. Not ghosts, not spirits, but memories gone too far. Not human anymore. Just the echo of needing to be heard, to be known, to be logged on a dispatch sheet that no longer exists. That's the part that gets to me most. They aren't angry, they're lonely, still trying to finish the route, still trying to check in, but where they're going, there aren't any way stations. Just asphalt unrolling into the dark forever. I started leaving my CB off, completely off, disconnected the antenna, even yanked the fuse once. But it didn't matter. The whisper came from the speakers anyway. No power, no line, no possible way. And yet, come back. Always the same tone. Soft, like a request made from across the years. Breaker, anyone. Come back. It's not always English, not always words. Sometimes it's just breathing. Sometimes it's a humming noise, like someone stuck on a lullaby they can't finish. Once, I swear, I heard it laugh. That was the worst night, because it didn't sound evil. It sounded relieved, like someone had finally picked up. That night, I didn't see my own reflection in the mirror above the dash. Only a shape, slouched, head tilted just slightly toward me, like it was listening too. I checked that mirror 6 times, cleaned it, tapped it, covered it with a cloth, still saw the shape, still heard the hum. The next morning, the windshield was covered in frost, but only from the inside. I left the heater running all night. Didn't help. And drawn into that frost with a fingertip or a nail were numbers. Route 67, Route 31, Route 4. Old routes. Dead routes. Somehow, they always know where you're headed. They're not random, those voices. They're baiting you, little by little, until it sounds like a conversation, like someone real, like someone close. That's the trick. The longer you listen, the more it sounds like someone you've spoken to before, a brother, a partner, your own voice sometimes. A driver named Saul told me once that he'd heard his daughter, plain as day. She'd been dead 5 years. She said, "Daddy, come get me. I'm cold." Saul pulled over and answered. That was the last anyone heard from him. Except 2 weeks later, a trooper crossing the pass picked up a faint ping on an old analog scanner. A kid's voice, crying, repeating, "Breaker, breaker, I'm cold. Daddy, come back." When they triangulated the signal, it was coming from the canyon below. Nothing down there but shale and dry pine. No road, no wreckage, just a boot, one size too small for Saul. Some say he jumped. Some say he found her. Others, like me, don't say anything at all, because the more you talk about them, the more they notice. The more they shape their messages to suit you, to sound familiar. They'll use what's in your cab, what's in your logbook, what's on the receipts fluttering on your dash. They'll learn your cargo, your company, your route, your name. And then one night, you'll hear it back, spoken slowly, tenderly, like someone greeting an old friend after a long drive. It happened to me one time, just once, and I've never forgotten. Dispatch to Malcolm, come back. No one knows that name. No one living. It was my birth name. I changed it after my first stint inside. Not for crime. For psych eval, voices, hallucinations, sleepwalking into traffic. But I wasn't asleep that night. I was parked, stationary, everything was still. And then the whisper. They knew it. Malcolm. Not Mac. Not M. Not any name I'd used since '87. That's when I stopped driving nights. Only took daytime hauls, short routes, local delivery, no CB, no long stretches. Didn't help. Last year, I drove past an overturned rig on the 90, late afternoon, clear sky, dry road, no skid marks, no collision, just upside down in the median. No driver. Door sealed, no blood, no broken glass. The engine was running, radio on, channel 19, humming, a soft, broken song, off key, repeating. I leaned in, curious, shouldn't have. It stopped the second my face passed the open window. Silence. Mac, my stomach turned. Not because it knew me, but because it sounded disappointed, like I'd taken too long, like I was late for something I'd promised to attend. I drove away, didn't stop again until Missoula. Told myself it was a trick of memory, stress, fatigue. But the humming, I heard it again. In the truck stop bathroom, coming from the vent. 3 stalls over, no feet under the door. Same tune, same key. And on the mirror, not written in steam, but in something darker, was that word. Rejoin. Like I was part of something once. Like I'd left, like they wanted me back. Sometimes I wonder, what if that's what all of us are? Just drivers that wandered too far. Fell asleep at the wheel of something older than roads, and now whatever's out there, whatever calls from the dead air, it's not trying to scare us. It's trying to bring us home. The wrong kind of home. Back to black highways that fold into themselves. Back to endless stretches where the stars never shift. Where your engine hums but you never arrive. Where you call for dispatch and they never answer. But you keep calling anyway because you're supposed to. Because that's the route. And maybe one day someone will hear you. Just once. And say hello back. And then you won't be alone anymore. Neither will they. And that's all it takes. One word, one slip, one breath too close to the mic, too near the idea of answering, and you're part of it, part of the loop. Most don't even know when it happens. They think they've driven through a bad signal zone, that their ears are ringing, that they mumbled something to themselves and forgot. But the radio hears it. The silence does. The thing beneath the road that remembers routes and names and echoes. There are truckers out there right now, today, still making their stops, still clocking their miles, still calling in like everything's normal. But they're not on the logs anymore. Their names don't match the rosters. Their dispatch doesn't recognize their call signs. Some of them don't realize they've already crossed over. Not ghosts. Not ghosts. Just driving roads that don't exist, stopping at rest areas that were torn down in the 90s, filling up at gas stations that never had a license. They'll wave at you, flash their lights, give the longhorn for the kids on the overpass. But they're not real anymore. Not in the way you are. Not yet. I keep thinking about that word, rejoin. Why that word? Not return, not come back. Rejoin. It means you were already part of it once. It means there's a place you used to belong, a circuit, a loop, a schedule. Maybe there was a dispatch, maybe there still is, but it doesn't run from any tower we can reach. It runs from deeper. Something buried in the silence of dead frequencies, in the concrete of defunct rest stops, in the quiet that comes when the hum of your tires gets too smooth, too soft, too steady, and you don't notice how long it's been since you passed another rig, or how the lines on the road have started to curve in patterns that don't make sense. I was on one of those roads once. Didn't mean to be. Wasn't even hauling. Just trying to clear my head. Middle of the night. No plan. No load. Thought I'd cut over to 287, take the back route through Townsend. But the road signs weren't right. They were clean, too clean, white with no rust, black letters that didn't fade when my headlights hit them. And the markers said things I'd never seen before. Route 303, Junction 11R, southbound to Hollow Bend. There's no Hollow Bend in Montana. I checked, there never was. Still, the road kept winding, and the CB kept hissing. Then, it stopped. No warning. Dead. No static. No voice. Just cold. And the sound of tires on a road that felt older than pavement, like I was driving on bones. I tried to turn around, but the shoulder was gone, just black on both sides. No gravel, no trees, no nothing. Only the lines, clean and white, unbroken. I drove until my dash clock froze. It never changed, not even when the sky started to shift from black to gray. No sun, no clouds, just a dim light like dawn seen through wax paper. And then a voice, not from the CB, from under the seat. Breaker, rejoin. I didn't move, didn't blink, didn't breathe. And it whispered again, "You're late." I slammed the brakes. Hard. Cab rocked forward. Coffee thermos hit the dash and cracked. And when I looked up, there was a way station ahead, but not like any I've ever seen. No digital readout, no LED signs, just a long, low building. Brown brick, painted windows, one long slit of yellow light over a metal door. And a single scale. Analog, rust-colored, like it hadn't been used since Nixon. The door opened, and someone stepped out. Too tall. Too narrow, uniform too clean, no face, not blank, just wrong. Like it was looking at me from the wrong angle, like it didn't need eyes to see. It raised its arm, a slow, deliberate motion, and pointed at the scale. Didn't move, didn't speak, just waited. That's when I knew. If I pulled onto that scale, I wouldn't be coming back. Not really. Not to this road, not to these stations, not to any place with real coffee and bad gas station lighting and grease under the fingernails. I'd be theirs. So I did what I've never done before. I threw it into reverse, and I backed out of that stretch with everything I had. Didn't care about the mirrors, didn't care about the rumble. The scale light blinked red, the figure lowered its arm, and I kept going. Eventually, the lines on the road changed. Cracks, faded paint, old bullet holes in the signs, real signs, and my dash clock moved. 2:42. I cried when I saw that. Pulled over, put my forehead on the wheel, just sat there until the sun finally came up. I still don't know how long I was gone. I lost 3 days from my log. Dispatch said I must have parked and blacked out, but they never received the coordinates. No GPS trail, just silence, dead air. And ever since, I hear it more often. Doesn't matter if the CB's on, doesn't matter where I am, it finds me. Sometimes through a parking garage intercom, sometimes through the overhead at a rest stop, once through the rumble strips. I swear as I drove over them, they thudded in rhythm. Breaker, come, back. I won't. Not yet. But I know it's waiting. Every time I drift, every time my eyes blur, every time I blink longer than I should, it's still there. Still whispering. Still calling. So if you ever hear it on channel 19 or from somewhere it shouldn't be, don't talk. Don't breathe. Don't think your name too loud. And whatever you do, don't answer. because the moment you do, you're already on the route. And the road, it never ends, not even when the engine dies, not even when the lights burn out, not even when your body gives in and your hands forget how to hold the wheel. Because the road remembers and it drives you. Maybe that's the final trick. Maybe no one's behind those wheels anymore. Just rigs hauling silence, just seats filled with the impression of something that used to be human. Still calling, still hoping, still circling back to a way station that hasn't had power since the flood in '84. I've passed them. Night rigs, no company markings, no license plates, just clean cabs and faded trailers, always the same length, always the same hum. Sometimes you see a hand rise to the window, or a face, but you blink and it's gone. The mirror just shows your own taillights behind you, like the road folded back and wrapped around your route. You'll think you imagined it. You'll tell yourself the mind plays tricks. It does, but not those tricks. Not this often. Not the same routes, not the same names, not the same time, down to the minute. Every time, 3T name. Like a schedule you forgot you signed on to. I've burned through 5 rigs, switched carriers twice, cut my CDL in half once, and said I was done for good. Still came back. Still found myself on the stretch. Because there's something in the silence. Something that waits. Not cruel, not angry, just persistent. And it knows we're weak. That we need to be heard. That a voice in the dark is sometimes better than none at all. So it speaks. Softly. Just a few numbers. A fragment of a route. Then your name. Then it listens. And if you don't answer, it doesn't leave. It just waits. Longer and longer each time, like it's learning patience, like it's learning you. Last week, I heard it again, even before I reached the canyon pass. Middle of the afternoon, clear skies, good music playing. Then the music cut out. Not paused. Cut, like a blade through tape. And underneath it, Breaker 19 Malcolm. That name again. The one I don't use. The one I buried. I pulled over right off the shoulder, door open, boots on dry gravel, sun warm on my face. But I was shaking because it shouldn't be able to reach me in the day. Not in the light, but it can, and it will. The world's gone quieter lately. More dead zones, more radio outages, more drivers going dark on the logs, no wrecks, no maydays, just off the map. They say it's burnout, that drivers quit without notice, park the rigs and walk away. But I've seen the videos. Dash cams still running, recording until the battery dies. Always the same thing. The road just vanishes. Not a crash, not an impact, just gone. White lines into black, taillights into fog, CB static falling into absolute silence. And right before it happens, a voice. Sometimes it says, rejoin. Sometimes this is dispatch. But the worst, the one that makes me want to tear out every speaker in every cab I sit in, welcome back, like it's proud of you, like you made the right choice, like you belong. That's the worst part. Because some nights, when I'm alone in a sleeper berth, engine ticking quiet beneath me, nothing but the stars overhead, I want to answer. I want to let the whisper finish its sentence. I want to say 10-4, I copy. I want to know what comes next. Because I'm tired, because the road is long, because there's a loneliness out here that no one understands unless they've logged 400 miles with no other headlights in sight. And sometimes that voice, it doesn't sound wrong. It sounds like a friend, like someone who remembers all the old routes, knows your rig by the way it hums, knows the songs you whistle when the signal cuts out. It sounds like someone who's still there, even when everyone else has moved on. And I think maybe that's the deal. Maybe we don't disappear because we're taken. Maybe we disappear because we choose to. Because the silence feels more familiar than the voices on the other end. Because the dead air isn't empty. It's waiting. It's waiting. Like a room with the lights turned off. Like a phone call that never disconnected. Like an open road with no turns left to take. And maybe after enough years of backaches and gas receipts and sunrises you don't remember seeing, You start to think, maybe I already answered. Maybe I just don't remember when. And now I'm driving a route no one logs, listening for a dispatch that isn't coming. But the voice, it still checks in, still says your name with care, still whispers in the same tone you used when you were green and scared and calling in for your first way station. It says, "Breaker, breaker, Malcolm, status update?" And I feel my hand move toward the mic. Every time. A little closer, a little slower. Until one night, I won't stop it until I 10-4, still rolling. Um, and then the hum will change. The tires will smooth, the mirrors will darken, the road will stretch just a little longer than it should. And the voice, it'll smile, not with teeth, not with words, but with that long, patient silence that lets you know you're finally back on schedule, back where you're supposed to be, rejoined, and you'll keep driving forever until someone else listens, until someone else hears the whisper and answers. And when they do, you'll feel it, like pressure lifting from the cab, like a weight you didn't know you were carrying. Because once someone else answers, it's not your voice they follow anymore. Not your name echoing down the lanes of the forgotten. You get to rest, but not like you think. There's no stopping, no parking brake, no exit ramp waiting under the stars. It's a stillness, like the rig idling just beyond the curve, headlights off, engine running cool, never overheating, never failing, just waiting. That's what they do, you see. Those who answered first, the pioneers. They wait just off the map, at the ends of the lost routes on spurs that no one builds anymore, holding space, carrying weight, keeping the line open, because that's the job, isn't it? That's what we signed on for. Keep the line open, keep the wheels moving, keep the dispatch informed, even if dispatch hasn't spoken in decades, even if the voice on the other end doesn't breathe, even if there's no end to the trip. And maybe you get used to it. The hum, the cold, the way your mirrors stop reflecting your face. You tell yourself it's normal, that it's always been like this. You forget the diner lights, the way the world looked before it dimmed, the way your own name felt in your mouth. You forget the hands on the wheel are yours, until one day you see someone pulled over, a young driver, windows down, CB crackling with questions, and you feel something. Not hunger, not need, just recognition. And you whisper, not to scare them, not to lure, just to ask, breaker, breaker, you copy. Because maybe this time they'll answer, and maybe they'll understand, and maybe you'll get to step away. Join the silence in full. Disappear into the sky behind the highway where nothing moves, nothing blinks, and nothing ever calls your name again. But most don't. Most hesitate. Most pull over, stare at their receiver, look around like the voice might be traced to someone visible, and you sit with them. Wait for their breath to catch. Wait for the question, who is this? The first mistake. The answer always comes. Sometimes it's your voice, sometimes theirs, sometimes one they loved once, and then it's done. They've stepped off their route. The road begins again, but not the one they left, a new one. Quiet, clean, far too smooth for asphalt, and they drive. Because once you answer, you must drive. It's the rule, written in static, bound in hiss. So they go. And behind them, you exhale. Light fades from your mirrors. Silence seeps in through the vents. You blink, and the cab is empty. Your hands are gone. Your eyes no longer search the road. You don't even remember where you stopped, just that the engine is quiet now. And the world has finally let go, but not for long. Because the system always needs drivers, always needs routes, and not everyone answers on time. There are gaps in the silence, frequencies in between. And in those spaces, the whispers stretch thin, struggling to find a voice, to shape meaning. So sometimes they reach back to you, even after you've disappeared, even after your rest, just one whisper. Soft as a memory, Malcolm back. and something in you shifts because the road, even in death, remembers your name. And the CB still listens, still hums, still waits. And there, in the black miles between two forgotten exits, you understand there is no final stop, no last log, no off switch. Just you and the dispatch and the dark and the long, long road. And the road doesn't ask questions. It doesn't judge. It doesn't care who you were, only that you are here and moving, that you've rejoined. Sometimes I wonder if there was ever a first voice, someone who answered before the others, who tuned the dial, heard nothing but static, and spoke anyway. Maybe they were the first link in the chain, the first driver to fall off the map but keep driving. What did they hear, I wonder? What silence greeted them in that moment just before the whisper arrived? Was it the same voice that found me? The same one that says Malcolm like it knows what my childhood bedroom looked like, what my mother called me when she thought I was asleep, what I lost behind the wheel at 19 when I looked away for 2 seconds too long. There's something deeply cruel in how kind the voice can sound. Not mocking, not threatening, just familiar. Like the first breath after a long cry, like home. But you must remember, there's no home on the road, only stops. And once you forget that, you're theirs. You become one more call in the night, one more name whispered through frequencies that never should have carried voices, one more rig sliding down a highway that's not on any map. I've started seeing signs again, not the kind with arrows and miles, not even real signs, most of them, just shadows beside overpasses, shapes in fogged glass, numbers scratched into bathroom stalls. Same numbers, again and again. Once I saw them on my own logbook, printed clear like I'd written them, and below it marked rejoin. I tore the page out, burned it behind the truck stop, watched the smoke drift low and slow like diesel at idle. Didn't matter. Next morning, the page was back. No burn marks, same numbers. And at the bottom, status awaiting check-in. I stopped sleeping for a while, kept the cab moving even when empty. Circle routes, back and forth across county lines, nowhere near the stretch. Didn't help. One night, I stopped at a way station I knew, mile marker 127, just outside Missoula. Always open, always some old-timer there to shoot the breeze. But this time, lights were on, doors unlocked. No one there. Coffee in the pot. Still warm. Radio tuned to 19. Static. I should have walked out. I should have run. Instead, I stepped behind the counter. Just to look. Just to see if anyone had checked in. Every sheet, every date, every name. Blank. Except the one on the desk. My name, printed, clean, dated that morning. No signature, just 2 words beneath it. Welcome back. I didn't drive for 2 weeks after that, slept in motels with no radios, walked everywhere, took buses, didn't matter. In the buzz of fluorescent hallway lights, I heard it. In the hum of old vending machines. In the static between channels on a motel TV with no cable hooked up. Breaker, breaker, Malcolm. My dreams became routes. Highways that curled in on themselves, lanes lined with people standing still, arms down, mouths moving. No sound. Just the hiss, and beneath it all, a distant, pulsing tone, steady, rhythmic, like a slow heartbeat or tires crossing a jointed bridge in the dark. Thump. 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 I tried telling someone, a doctor. Said I hadn't been sleeping, said I was hearing things. He prescribed something, pills. Small, white, silent. I took one. Dreamt I was in the cab again, only the wheel was gone. Just a long stretch of black road and a whisper. Hands off. You're on dispatch now. Woke up with my hands gripped around the armrests, knuckles white, fingernails cracked. Haven't taken one since. Some part of me knows what they want. Why they whisper, why the signals bleed. It's not about pulling you off the road. It's about pulling you through it. Through the skin of what's real. Through the shoulder and into the gap between lanes, where things move differently. Where time folds and the air smells like oil and ozone, where engines don't die and no one is alone. I passed a rig last week with no driver. I mean it. Cab empty, no hands on the wheel, just rolling smooth at 58 miles per hour, hazards blinking even though there was nothing wrong. The trailer was clean, blank, no logo, no rust, and across the back door painted in tight red strokes. Channel 19 is always open. I followed it for 50 miles. Never turned, never sped up, never slowed. And then, a curve. I blinked. It was gone. No exit, no junction, just road. Smooth and quiet, like it had never been there at all. Like it never left. And maybe it didn't. Maybe it just folded back in into the space between dials, into the hush before the whisper, where they wait, where all of us end up if we listen too long. So if you're still out there, if you're new to the road, green behind the wheel, watching those long lines blur into night, remember this. Channel 19 is not for weather, not for traffic, not for talk, not anymore. It belongs to them, to the ones who never stop driving, to the ones who found a route where there's no dispatch, no delivery, no destination, just forward and whispering. And maybe someday they'll say your name. Soft and low, through a speaker that shouldn't work, at a time you swore you were alone. And you'll feel it, that pull, that need to answer. Don't let the air go dead. Let the voice fade. Let the silence win. Because once you respond, the wheels start turning. And they don't stop. And even if they do, even if you find the strength to park the rig, walk away, leave the keys in the ignition and let the engine cool, they'll still be listening. They'll hear the rhythm of your steps, the pacing in a quiet room, the way your breath catches when the wind brushes the curtains just right. They'll be in the click of the fan, the buzz between stations, the sudden silence between words when no one else is speaking, and the world seems to hold its breath. Because they don't just live in the trucks, they live in the gaps, the pauses, the places you forget to fill, and they are patient. They don't need you to drive forever. Just once more. Just one more haul, one more check-in, one more whispered, copy that. I've tried to disappear, unplug everything, remove the spark plugs from my own damn soul. Didn't help. There's always something left behind, a receipt, an old badge, a recording I don't remember making. The voice is clearer now, closer, and I don't know if that means I'm still ahead of it or if it's already inside. I used to carry talismans, a rusted key from my first route, a photo of my old dog sleeping under the dash, a coin pressed flat by my tires on a runaway ramp in Idaho. I thought they'd protect me, remind me of the life I had. But now when I hold them, they feel heavy, like they belong to someone else, like they're all that's keeping me from floating off the edge and becoming the thing I fear. I've started speaking aloud to myself, to hear a voice I know, to make sure mine still sounds like mine. Sometimes I slip, say things into the air, forget I'm alone, and the silence answers. It doesn't speak back, it just deepens, like it's leaning in, like it's listening, and I can feel it now. A weight in the passenger seat, a presence just behind the glass. The road ahead looks the same, familiar curves, mile markers that pass too slowly, but I know better. I've memorized the real ones. I know what should come next. And this isn't it. The map says one thing, my eyes say another. I know I'm not where I'm supposed to be. I passed the sign an hour ago. White paint, no text, just a red dot in the center, like a target. 15 minutes later, another, then another. They're not pointing anywhere. They're marking something, or someone. Me, I've been marked, and I think I know why. Because I've resisted too long. They don't like it. The ones who disappear without a sound, they go easy. But not me. I kept notes, left warnings, dug in, and now I'm the weak link in the chain, the one who won't finish the loop. So they've changed tactics, no more numbers, no more faceless voices. Now they're using mine. I heard it just now. Through the CB, dead, disconnected, unpowered. But still, a perfect echo of my voice. 10-4, copy that. Said like I've always said it, not scared, just tired, just done. I turned the mirror, looked into the glass, and for one long second, my mouth kept moving after I stopped speaking. No sound, just the motion, repeating that line. 10-4, copy that. I don't know how much longer I can keep this up. Every night it gets harder. Every stop feels closer to the last. I see other drivers now, parked on off-ramps, lights off, facing the wrong direction, waiting. Some wave, some don't, some look like rigs I used to know, some look like mine, and maybe they are. Maybe time's a circle. Maybe all roads lead back to the first time you answered when you should have stayed silent. Maybe I'm already gone, and this is just the engine winding down. But I'll hold out. One more night, one more route, one more turn down a road I know shouldn't be here. Because if I stop now, if I give in, I don't know where I'll end up. Maybe not anywhere at all. Just a signal, just a whisper, just another name spoken soft at 3:13 a.m. when the sky is empty and the CB hisses low and someone somewhere asks, "Who's still out there?" And a voice not quite yours, but close enough says back, "This is dispatch. We've been waiting." And that's it. That's the hook. That's how it pulls you in. You answer once, you disappear slow, and the wheels keep turning long after the hands let go. So I'll say this once, clear and loud for anyone still listening. Turn the dial, cut the line, forget your name if you have to, but don't answer, don't whisper back, don't rejoin, because once you do, the road never ends.